Welcome to Live Smart. Good morning all. Who will cry when you die? Part 9. Chapters 81 to 90. 81. Don't pick up the phone every time it rings. The telephone is there for your convenience, not for the convenience of your callers. Yet, as soon as we hear the phone ring, we act as if we are firefighters rushing to a 5-alarm fire. We run to pick it up as if our lives depended on the call being answered at once. I have seen people interrupt quiet family dinners, dedicated reading times, and meditation periods to answer those seemingly urgent phone calls, many of which turn out to be ones that could have been taken later. Voicemail, though not perfect, is in many ways one of the great blessings of the modern age. It frees you up to do the things you want by allowing you to answer calls when it suits you. You no longer need to be interrupted by the ringing phone and can spend your time on life's more important pursuits. The habit of picking up the phone every time it rings is a hard one to break, as I know from personal experience. It is so easy to run to it, simply because we want to know who is calling us. Often, picking up the ringing phone is just another way to put off doing something you don't really want to do. But once you get good at letting it ring and staying focused on the activity at hand, whether it is reading a good book, having a heart-to-heart conversation with your life partner, or frolicking with your kids, you will wonder what the hurry to pick up the phone was all about in the first place. 82. Remember that recreation must involve recreation. After a tiring day at work, it is so easy to curl up on the couch and spend the next 3 or 4 hours watching television. The irony is that, if you are like most people, you actually feel more fatigued after watching too much TV than you felt when you first sat down. Recreation is tremendously important to a balanced life. But recreation must serve to recreate you. Recreation must restore you and bring you back to life. Real recreation will fill you with a renewed sense of optimism and energy. True recreation connects you to the highest and best within you while rekindling your inner life. As Plato noted, my belief is not that the good body by any bodily excellence improves the soul, but, on the contrary, that the good soul, by her own excellence, improves the body as far as this may be possible. Effective recreation then must involve some pursuit that suits your soul. 83. Choose worthy opponents. I read recently that after Olympic athletes return home from the Games, some of them suffer from what psychologists call post-Olympic depression. After being in the world's spotlight and training for years to excel in competition, the athletes who suffer from this affliction fall into a state of depression once they get back to their daily lives. It seems that having achieved the pinnacle of success, there is no higher target for them to aim for, and so life loses its meaning. A similar phenomenon was experienced by the Apollo astronauts who walked on the moon. After achieving this, they grew dejected at the realization that few things in life could match the excitement of traveling into space. To maintain a healthy level of optimism and passion for life, you must keep on setting higher and higher goals. On attaining one goal, whether it is a career goal or a personal one, it is essential that you quickly set the next one. I call the process of setting progressively bigger, more engaging goals choosing worthy opponents. When I was practicing law, I spent much of my time in courtrooms, representing the interests of my clients. Over the years that I argued these causes, I always found I performed best when I appeared against my toughest opponents. Those bright, highly prepared and exceptionally focused litigators forced me to get to the core issue before the judge and deliver my arguments succinctly and effectively. The worthiest opponents compelled me to reach deep within myself and do even better than I had previously. In the same way, selecting a steady stream of compelling goals will liberate the fullness of your talents. Remember, diamonds are created through steady pressure. So make certain your goals are worthy of you. Make sure they are the kind of challenges that will force you to reach into your heart and bring out the best within you, helping you grow in the process. In the personal coaching sessions I conduct around the country, many of the participants already have achieved what I would consider success in both their careers and lives. They are highly respected, influential, and they enjoy what they do while leading balanced and fulfilling personal lives. Yet they're joining my programs because they know deep down that they can be more and that life holds greater rewards in store for them. They understand that in order to truly manifest their human potential and leave a legacy that lasts, they must keep raising the bar and holding themselves to a higher standard. And because of that attitude of constant improvement, life does send greater blessings their way. 84. Sleep less. Thomas Edison's life story is one worth reading about. Part visionary, part gambler, and part genius, he was a brilliant inventor who made the best use of his time on the planet. Though he had only 6 months of formal schooling, he had read such classics as The Decline and Fall of the Roman Empire by the time he was 8, and invented the phonograph, which captured sound on records, by the time he was 30. A master of positive thinking, when someone asked him why, during his last years when he was almost totally deaf, he did not invent a hearing aid, he replied, "How much have you heard in the last 24 hours that you couldn't do without?" He then added with a smile, "A man who has to shout can never tell a lie." But what I remember the most about his special man was his rare ability to thrive on only 4 hours of sleep. "Sleep is like a drug," he explained. "Take too much at a time and it makes you dopey. You lose time, vitality, and opportunities. Most of us sleep far more than we need to. We say to ourselves that we must have at least 8 good hours of time under the covers in order to function at our best. We cannot imagine getting by on less sleep and shudder at the much thought. Yet, as I wrote in an earlier lesson, it is not the quantity of sleep that is most important. What really counts is the quality and richness of your sleep. Just remember those times when everything in your life was working. You were thriving at the office, fulfilled in your relationships, and growing in your inner life. You were overflowing with energy and passionate about every minute of your days. If you are like most people, you will also recall that during these times you could get by on less sleep. As a matter of fact, there was so much to be excited about that you did not want to waste time by oversleeping. Now reflect on those times of your life when things were not going so well. Your job was exhausting, the people in your life were driving you crazy, and you had no time for yourself. During these times, you probably slept longer than usual. Perhaps you slept until 2 o'clock in the afternoon on Saturday or Sunday. We often use sleep as an escape from reality during difficult times. But how did you feel when you finally woke up? Groggy, uninspired, and tired. So it is not the number of hours of sleep that is key, but rather the amount of renewal your body receives. Strive for less time in bed but a richer, deeper sleep. Understand that fatigue is often a mental creation that stems from doing things you do not like to do. And remember Henry Wadsworth Longfellow's wise words. The heights by great men reached and kept were not attained by sudden flight, but they, while their companions slept, were toiling upwards in the night. 85. Have a family mealtime. One of the many great family traditions my wonderful mother created from us when I was growing up was having a family meal every day. No matter what activities we had on the go, my father, my brother, and I were duty-bound to come home for a dinner, where we could all reconnect, and share our stories about the day that was drawing to a close. My dad would often go around the dinner table and ask us to share one new thing we had learned. Or he would pull out a newspaper clipping he had tucked away in his shirt pocket and engage us in a lively discussion relating to the story. The special tradition of a daily family meal brought our family closer and gave me many happy memories. It is a tradition I have now brought into my own family life and one I hope my children will continue. Your family meal does not have to be dinner. We live in busy times. We have endless personal commitments. Our children have soccer practices, piano lessons, and ballet classes, which might make it difficult to have a quiet meal in the early evening hours. Your family meal could take place over breakfast or lunch if your schedule allows for it. It might even be a quick snack of milk and cookies at the very end of the day. The important thing is that you find some time every day to break bread with those you love most and consistently work at building a richer, more meaningful family life. 86. Become an imposter. Research has shown that the way you act influences the thoughts you think. If you look to the ground, slouch over, and generally model yourself physically after a depressed person, you will eventually start to feel depressed. If, on the other hand, you smile and laugh and stand upright with your head held high, you will soon find that you feel much better, even though you may not have been in a great mood to begin with. Using this information, you can start to fake it till you make it. In other words, you can pretend to be the kind of person you wish to be. By consistently acting as a highly enthusiastic person might or as a truly confident person would, you will eventually take on these personal attributes. The power of the act like that which you most wish to become technique was demonstrated by a study at Stanford University in which a team of psychologists took a group of emotionally secure college students and randomly separated them into two groups within a simulated prison setting. The first group was instructed to act like prison guards while the second group was told to the group members was affected so dramatically by this experiment that the psychologists were forced to end it after only 6 days. The inmates had become severely depressed, hysterical and suffered from crying bouts while the guards behaved cruelly and uncaringly. As this study confirms, the acting as if technique is a highly effective way to modify your behavior and transform yourself into the person you plan to be. 87. Take a public speaking course. As a professional speaker who specializes in leadership, personal effectiveness, and life improvement, I have the privilege of appearing on programs that feature some of the world's top experts like Brian Tracy, the renowned motivational speaker, Professor John Cotter, the respected business guru, celebrities like actor Christopher Reeve, and musical superstars like Joel. I give keynote addresses at about 75 major conferences a year and speak to large audiences across North America, in the Caribbean, and in Asia. Yet very few people know that the greatest fear of my life was once public speaking. While I was in school, I would avoid any opportunity to speak in front of people for fear of failure. If a teacher asked me to give an oral report to the class or speak on a certain subject, I would always find some excuse not to. My fear of public speaking affected my confidence and prevented me from doing many of the things I knew in my heart I could do. It was not until I took a public speaking course from the Dale Carnegie organization that I began to change. And once I did, a new world unfolded for me. I have since discovered I was not alone in my fear. It has been reported that most people fear speaking in front of an audience even more than death itself. Talking to a large group of people draws us out of the circle of security that we tend to live in and forces us to confront an entirely foreign experience. But two things can dramatically reduce your fear of public speaking, as well as any other fear for that matter: preparation and practice. By taking a public speaking course that will prepare you for speaking before groups and offer you a regular forum to practice in front of a group, you will soon manage your fear and eventually master it. 88. Stop thinking tiny thoughts. The British statesman Benjamin Disraeli once said, "Nurture your mind with great thoughts, for you will never go any higher than you think." His words are profound. And his point of wisdom is clear. It is not what you are that is holding you back in life. It's what you think you're not. It is what is going on in your inner world that is preventing you from having all that you want. And the moment you fully understand this insight and set about ridding your mind of all its limiting thoughts, you will see almost immediate improvements in your personal circumstances. In my motivational seminars, I tell my audiences, if you are not pursuing your dreams, you are fueling your limitations. My brother, an internationally known eye surgeon, once told me about a medical condition called amblyopia, a condition that occurs when a patch is placed over a young child's healthy eye. When the patch is removed, the child has completely lost the sight of that one good eye. Covering the eye stunts its development and causes blindness. Many of us suffer from our own form of amblyopia. Many of us suffer from our one form of amblyopia. We go through life with blinders over our eyes, afraid to dream bigger dreams and do the things we fear. The result is always the same, like the child with amblyopia. We eventually lose our vision and spend the rest of our days within a very limited zone of movement. Too many people lead small lives. Too many of us die at 20 and are buried at 80. Remember, nothing can stop a person who refuses to be stopped. Most people don't really fail, they simply give up trying. And most of the limitations that hold you back from your dreams are self-imposed. So shed the shackles of tiny thinking, have the bravery to dream big for a change, and accept that failure is not an option for you. As Seneca observed, it is not because things are difficult that we do not dare. It is because we do not dare that they are difficult. 89. Don't worry about things you can't change. Time and again, when I face a challenge in my own life, I return to the serenity prayer of Reinhard Niebuhr. God, give us the grace to accept with serenity the things that cannot be chanted, courage to change the things which should be changed, and the wisdom to distinguish one from the other. One business executive who went through an exercise I use in my leadership coaching programs found that 54% of his worries related to things that would likely never happen, 26% were about past actions that could not be changed, 8% related to the opinions of people whose opinions really did not matter to him, 4% concerned personal health issues that he had since resolved, and only 6% concerned real issues worthy of his attention. By identifying and then letting go of the worries he could do nothing about or that were a complete waste of his energy, this man eliminated 94% of the problems that had plagued him. 90. Learn how to walk. Nearly 10 years ago, I received a package in the mail from my father. In it was a worn-out old book that carried the following inscription on the inside front cover. Dear Robin, some time ago, I picked up this book from a store that sells second-hand books. Though the money paid for this book was nominal, its net worth is tremendous. I enjoyed reading it immensely, and I hope you will too. Love, Dad. Published in 1946, the book is called Getting the Most Out of Life, and is one of the treasures in my library of wisdom literature and self-help books. I have returned to the short essays it contains on a wide range of life improvement topics, bearing titles such as Wake Up and Live. The Business of Living a Long Time and How to Live on 24 Hours a Day, many times over the years, and have grown much from the lessons offered. It is truly a priceless possession. On a recent rainy day, I pulled out the book and flipped through the different chapters, stopping at the one entitled How to Take a Walk. In it, author Alan Devo shares his insights on how one can get the best out of walking. First, he advises, a walk should never have a specific purpose. Rather than having a destination, you should simply immerse yourself in the beauty of the walk itself. Second, you must never take your worries with you on the walk. Leave them at home, for if you don't, they will become even more deeply rooted in your mind by the end of the walk. And finally, be fully aware. Train yourself to pay complete attention to the sights, sounds and smells. Study the shape of the leaves on the trees. Observe the beauty of the clouds and the fragrance of the flowers. As he concludes, the world, after all, is not so unendurable when a person gets a chance to look at it and smell it and feel its texture and be alone with it. This acquaintance with the world, this renewal of the magical happiness and wonderment which you felt when you were a child, such is the purpose of taking walks. Thank you for watching. Please like, share and subscribe.